I'm going to read it again if it's up there. Verse 21 from the ESV I'm reading from. And then it says, if you can hear me over the rain. Then Peter came up and said to him, Lord, how often will my brother sin against me and I forgive him? As many as 7 times. I think in Jewish culture they really honoured forgiveness as something. And to be forgiven 3 times was a big deal. So I think Peter's like, wow, Jesus is so extreme, I'm going to elevate it. What about, I'm Peter, the rock on, this church is going to be built on, right? I'm going to say 7. Probably to impress Jesus. You know the culture, 3 times. 7, it's a very godly number too. 7. But he wasn't right. And Jesus said to him, I do not say to you 7 times, but 77 times. Or it could have been 77 times 7. In other words, there's a number that's just so extraordinary. Imagine being hurt and having to forgive that many times. How many people have hurt you that you hold on to you in your heart? I'm going to pray for a miracle to occur in us, that a strength and a grace comes upon you from the Lord himself to help us release people today in forgiveness, to set us free. Anyway, it says a story here. Therefore, the kingdom of heaven may be compared to a king who wished to settle accounts with his servants. When he began to settle, one was brought to him who owed him 10,000 talents. And 10,000 talents is like, you're talking about $1 trillion or something, just an unpayable debt. I remember Joe was telling me about this redeeming kind of organisation. What was it called, Joe? Redeemer Ministries. What country was that in? Pakistan. So someone needed a health thing or go to the hospital, they'd go into debt to somebody, and the debt would be as such that essentially the interest on the debt meant that them and their family was in slavery. And then they'd be generationally enslaved because they could never pay off the debt. So a health problem, go to the hospital, oh, there's this debt, I need to pay it. Someone kindly offers an high interest loan. They get that loan, suddenly they've got to pay back that debt through slavery. But they can never pay back the debt, they can never pay off past the interest. Their family becomes enslaved, they all die, next generation are enslaved, and they just become enslaved forever. All right, that's a very, something that goes on today, and you can donate to Redeemer Ministries to redeem people from slavery, which is really exciting, so you could Google that. Anyway, it says this, very similar. Therefore, the kingdom of heaven may be compared to a king who wished to settle his accounts with his servants, and when he began to settle, one was brought to him who owed him 10,000 talents. And since he could not pay, his master ordered him to be sold, with his wife and children, and all that he had. And payment to be made, right? So it's a bit like Adam and Eve. They got themselves into a debt of sin that was going to be generational, could never be paid off. So the servant fell on his knees, imploring him, have patience with me, I will pay you everything. And out of pity for him, the master of the servant released him and forgave him the debt. And when that same servant went out, he found one of his fellow servants who owed him a few hundred denarii. Now, owed him 100 denarii, I should say. A denarii was a day's wage. And if you think about 100 denarii, that's 100 days. What's 100 divided by, like if we would convert it to a full, no, it's probably not, like a full 5-day working week. What's 100 divided by 5? 20, good maths. 20 weeks of the year, how much would that be worth? Like a labourer these days. How much do you get paid a day as a labourer? Huh? I don't want to work for you, Toby. How much do you reckon? Let's get a figure. How much? Let's give him $300 a day times. How much? $650, you reckon? Oh gosh, I want to work for you. Oh, you can't. Okay. Oh, right. 300 times. How many was it? Oh, how many days? 100 days. Let's go 100 days. All right. So that's about 30 grand. Let's go. Let's say they weren't paid much. 20 to 30 grand. So it's not like an insignificant amount. Hey, it's like something. Like if someone owed you like 25 grand, it's not like easy to say, they'll be all right. When someone hurts you, it's not easy to forgive. It's not nothing. It's something of a significant cost, right? And it's very easy for me, and I'm guilty of this, by the way, of holding back forgiveness for the sake of what's just and right. Some people are like, that's right. Because it's not fair, it's not just, it's not right. So it's a significant thing to forgive. It's not nothing. I might have falsely preached this before, but it was only a few dollars. It's not a few dollars, it's actually significant. 100 days of wage. Anyway, so this is how he responds. Think about you in this situation. We don't just judge everyone else, we put ourselves front and centre. What would I do? So verse 28, I'll read it again. But at the same time the servant went out and he found one of his fellow servants who owed him 100 denarii, and seizing him he began to choke him. That's one response. I don't know if you've done any of that. I was threatened with choking this year, but it didn't happen, thankfully. But this actually happened. He began to choke him, saying, "Pay what you owe." So his fellow servant fell down and pleaded with him, "Have patience with me, and I will pay you." He refused and went and put him in prison until he should pay the debt. Take away the first part of the story. If that never happened, you'd be like, that'd be pretty, like, I don't know about choking and stuff like that. We're not a very violent society these days, right? It's a big deal. Like, these days the bullies can be verbally pulling people down, but as soon as someone touches someone, it's a big deal in society these days. So we probably wouldn't choke as our first point of thing, but it's like really annoying. Like, maybe this guy was trying to set up things in life, he needed the 25 grand. Like, he just got forgiven a debt, but he's just put that aside for a bit. In isolation, it's very frustrating to be in this situation for this guy. Would you agree? Maybe I'm taking his side too much. But I want to flip it, because I think in the script and this story we always be like, oh, that's so stupid. Why would you do it? But that's me. And verse 31, so when his fellow servants saw what had taken place, they were greatly distressed. And they went and reported to their master all that had taken place. And then his master summoned him and said to him, "You wicked servant, I love you, but I don't like your sin." Oh, sorry, that was me saying that. "You wicked servant, I forgave all that debt because you pleaded with me." Why did he forgive the debt? He pleaded with him. He became so humble of heart. He was poor in spirit, realizing he could not do anything. He kind of lied, didn't he? He said, "Oh, I'll pay it back." He didn't know how. He was just desperate. He was in a desperate, weak, humiliated state. And in that desperate, weak, humiliated state before the master, he was forgiven the debt and given status. He forgave the debt because he pleaded with him. And he said, "And should not you have had mercy on your fellow servant as I have had mercy on you?" And in anger, we talk about the wrath of God. The wrath of God was satisfied on the cross of Christ, so that the wrath of God for those in Christ, it wouldn't land on us. He was angry. And his master delivered him to the jailers until he should pay all his debt. Which was when? When was that going to be? It's going to be never. Interest on debt, billions and billions and millions of dollars worth of debt, it's never going to be paid. So my heavenly Father will do to every one of you if you do not forgive your brother from your heart. Oh, boom. No, that's why you don't preach these messages. Oh, let's just pretend we're all going to be fine in our own righteousness. At least you won't persecute me, and then we'll all waltz our way. Oh yeah, we're all fine, everyone's fine, la-di-da-di-da. Boom. But I actually believe in God. This is my dilemma. I actually believe in him. And sometimes we walk in life, we live like he doesn't exist. Like he's some philosophy or principle that helps us live a slightly better life. But no, I actually believe in God. So my encouragement for us, and the admonishment for anyone that will receive it is, if you're holding unforgiveness in your heart, You need to do something about it. And do something about it today. Do something about it today. And if you're not sure, go, oh Lord, search my heart. I'm not talking, forgiveness is like if someone's like done something really bad and they're non-repentant, like they're not asking for forgiveness. That's really hard. They're not actually asking for forgiveness. And they're abusive or not healthy for you to be in relationship with you. That's not your responsibility. But you can release them to God in forgiveness and not invite them back in. Because remember, it says earlier, and I said this before, Jesus said, do not throw your pearls to swine, lest they trample them underfoot, turn on you to attack you. He's saying, don't be stupid. Don't invite people's attack willingly. Be wise. Be wise. But it doesn't mean you have to live under the bondage of what they've done to you in the past. You can release them to God. And sometimes, a lot of the time, we can't. And sometimes the prayer we need to pray is, Lord, I cannot forgive. I can't do it. And reaching out, we can reach out to God because we love God so much. Hopefully our love for God overrides everything else. Hopefully our love for God is greater than our offense toward others. Because if we reflect what I talked about earlier, what Jesus has done for us on the cross, and we live with that in the front of our mind, and we keep our eyes fixed on Jesus and what he has done for us, and what we've been saved from. Remember, Jesus had these people that were forgiven a lot and loved a lot. Those who were forgiven little, loved a little. That was in the mindset of people. Everyone was forgiven a lot, but those that didn't think they needed the forgiveness as much didn't really love Jesus as much. But those that lived in a sinful life, poured out alabaster perfume on Jesus and everything, they just were like, poured out their love for the Lord. They loved him because they knew what they'd been saved from. We need to all be like that because that's the same reality for all of us. If we keep our love for the Lord greater than every offense that goes on in our life, we might not be able to forgive someone over here, but we might go, Lord, I know you want me to. Help. If you're looking at your offense and you're staring at your offense and that's the main thing in your life and that's what's leading your life, you won't look to that and go, I forgive you. You will just be fueled with rage and unforgiveness and hurt. But if you focus on Jesus and you're like, I can't, Lord, I can't forgive, I can't do it. You know what? You can't in your own strength sometimes. And you go, but I love you, God. Help. And I believe as we, in our desperation of our heart, go, help. Something of the grace of God, the power, the same power that released us from an unforgivable debt, that power will be deposited in our heart, and somehow in surrender to God, we'll be able to go, I forgive you, and release people from bondage, and we can walk in freedom. Would you like that? I want to walk in freedom. We're going to have communion now in a time of just reflection.